Do I need to push the button that says continue?
Oh, yes.
Okay. I just did, so.
Ed, you're still muted.
Okay. All right, you're good to go.
Gary, you can go ahead and open the meeting.
Okay, I hereby open the July 21, 2022 Historic Preservation for the City of College Place Commission meeting.
I'll do roll.
Yeah, I'll turn it over. Who's next?
We have Gary Peterson, chairperson present. Looks like Mike Denny is absent. We also have Edward Comp and Terry Gottschall present. Staff-wise, we have Development Director Christy Sugar is in attendance, and we also have Lisa Neisel. And also joining us this afternoon is Spencer. Oh my gosh, Spencer, I'm sorry, I'm blanking on your last name.
Howard.
Yes, Spencer Howard. Thank you. Sorry about that. Now we'll move into the public comment period. I have not received any requests to speak. Lisa, have you received any?
No, I haven't, and we don't have any virtual attendees either.
Okay. So Gary, if you want to take us into the consent agenda section.
Let's see, is this where Spencer will present this Building Has History grant?
Well, that's on the agenda, so we need to approve the agenda today. Approve the minutes of February 16th, and you can do it through consent agenda, both of those. So if you clicked on items, section 3.3.
Okay, so I would recommend that we approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Do I have a second? I think Edward just said yes. I don't hear Edward, but
It's muted.
I'm unmuted now. I can
okay,
vote. Yes.
so we have a first, a second. All those in favor, please raise your hand, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, it looks like we are unanimous in that. Moving on. Should I read what is here on the screen about the Department of Ecology grant? Or do you want to do that, John?
Thank you, Gary. So for a grant through the Department of Archaeology and Historic Preservation to create a self-guided This Building Has History walking tour. And we were partially successful in getting that grant in that the DAP funded the research and GIS implementation part of that grant. we'll have the part that's not funded, but we did fund it in our budget, is to install signs in front of these properties within the public right of way that'll have, you know, a signage that says this building has history, and there'll be a QR code on it that'll where the participants can pull up the information on those particular properties, and then also find out where other properties where they can go on the tour. So part of that, this grant requirement, one of the grant requirements is to have 2 public meetings. So this is our first one. And so today we have Spencer Howard, who is our consultant on the project here. He's with Northwest Vernacular. If you recall back when, I think it was in 2019, we did an intensive reconnaissance level survey on a number of properties in town, and Spencer was the historian that did that research. So he's back for this project. So with that, I will turn it over to Spencer. And Spencer, if you would like to share your screen for the presentation, you can do so.
Okay, thank you, John. I'll get that set up.
I guess I need to stop my share.
It just switched it over. So I think we should be, it should be good. Is everybody able to see that kind of the first slide? Great.
Yes.
Okay, so I just have a few slides to kind of take you through. We are in the process of setting up the story map in Arcgis using the city's access and login for Esri. We've populated all of the tour points. We've added at least one photo for each one, but we still have all of the narrative as a Word file. And so we're working through that to continue to add in some background and research. And then we'll be getting it through our editor to continue refining it so that it's as accessible as possible for a general public audience in reading it. So we want it to be interesting and engaging, and we also want to keep it short so they can kind of go from the different ones and go through there. So we included in this both a mobile and desktop view. Esri will allow previews of both that. So we just kind of ran through it and took screenshots of those and then plugged them into the PowerPoint presentation. So we can kind of give you an idea of what it will look like without actually having it up. And I'm hopeful for the second public meeting, then we'd actually be able to have the full site populated and have it up and then be able to kind of take you through that. But so this is the landing page, kind of the title, intent, and the initial image. This is kind of taking you in to show the full tour and how that looks on a mobile and a desktop view, anticipating that members of the public will be using this both out as they're walking, and some may be at home pulling up their computer, the laptop, and wanting to go through the tour that way. So to kind of give an idea of both of these. You can come into the tour at any point. So it's not sequential in that sense. You can just kind of jump in, you can scroll through. We organized it generally from north to south. We weren't sure if there's a better way, but that kind of made sense since north is at the top of the map. It just made it easy to kind of run everything straight down. And then we tried to organize the points, kind of the sequence of the different points, so that if somebody did want to go start at the north end and just walk from building to building, it would be in a generally logical sequence. So you wouldn't be running from one side of the town all the way over to the other side of the town and coming back. So it kind of makes sense and flows through as it goes along. Where we know a historic name, we've used that to identify the building. The rest, we have just used the address. And so this is clicking into one of the tour points. So on here, you can see this house is the one at the very top. If you were to click on that, that takes you into this type of a view. It highlights in the map where the location is. We'll continue to see if we can tweak this a little bit. Unfortunately, they use the same color, they just make it a little bit brighter. So we'll play with that to see if we can get that to pop a little bit better so people know right away where that house or that building is located. But so there's a photo, we can have up to 5 photos. So like, for example, the Poor Farm where the city had photos commissioned, those were amazing. We went through there to pick a sampling of 5 so that we could show both the exterior and the interior of what used to be there. And we'll do the same on the photos for the other properties to see if we can get a couple other ones that might show some aspect of the building that is important to try and highlight that. And then you can see the narrative that accompanies each one. And on that, we're trying to keep it concise, keep it accessible, and really upfront say, why is this building important to the city of College Place? Why would you want to learn something about it? And why is it special? So really trying to highlight that for people so that they can connect with that, hopefully a little bit faster. And then this, so there's within the tour on the screen on the left that has desktop, there's a purpose narrative. And so that's kind of like an introduction, but we've put it at the sort of after the tour. We don't unfortunately have a lot of flexibility with that. We'll keep seeing if we can adjust it. Instead of doing an introduction, it kind of comes right after the tour, which is not too bad in the sense that when people come into it, they want to go into the tour and then kind of come to the purpose and learn a little bit more about it. But we wanted this to tie into the National Park Service kind of goals and intent of identification, evaluation, education, nomination, and protection. So, their goal idea, their kind of whole idea with the survey work and then raising awareness is to try and identify properties. So ideally, people will want to designate them so that they have protection so that the community doesn't lose them at a later date. So that's kind of their, ultimate goal on that. So we wanted to be able to tie the intent of this back to that so that it's clear both for your funder, but that it's also clear for the public coming to this, that presenting the history of these different buildings, there's a reason why that's being done, and it's really important, and it provides an important connection for people with sort of their environment, their setting, their context. And for more information, it's kind of hidden below the bar there, a plug for the commission. So if you want any more information or interested in serving on the commission, here's the point of contact with the city to be able to connect with that. So just trying to raise through this the commission's profile as the entity that is really responsible for so much of this. The image on the right is just a kind of snapshot of the Word file with all the tour points and the draft narrative. So that's what we've been working through to get that fine-tuned, add in some additional information. So that all of that content we will get loaded into each of the individual tour points. And so kind of in all this, the next steps, I think August 12th, we have a deadline to have the draft link of the full populated tour site to you guys, to the city, and to DAP for review. And then the second public meeting, I believe, on the 18th of August. And then at the end of August, the 31st, the final full public, or the final link, making any edits that might come from the public or from the commission or from the state and having everything basically finalized and finished by the end of August. Another kind of side note on this too is that the structure on this tour that sort of Esri ArcGIS provides is very flexible. So at a later date, you can continue adding in additional points, tour points on here, actually really pretty easily. So by having this set up, you definitely have a tool for that you can continue to expand as you have any additional history or background done on properties or something comes up. So that was everything I had to present. Are there any questions on this? Otherwise, I'll stop sharing my screen too.
So this would be able to be used by somebody driving in their car as well.
For the passenger in the car, they would be able to look at it on their iPhone or mobile phone, Android. They would be able to scroll through it and use it. I think to access a particular point too, they can also stop and get out and take the QR code to go through there. I have not tried this. I don't know if it works with your location services in the sense that, like how we kind of all think of having a Google map or Apple map, and you have that blue dot where you are relative to everything else that's on the map. I don't know if that comes on in here. I don't think so. I think this is just, it's a map and it's encapsulated within its own system and programming. So it's not spatially aware, but as you are driving, you can scroll through and kind of gauge where you are.
Anybody else have any questions?
Spencer, the will they unique to each location, so it'll pull up the page with the appropriate information on it?
There should be. I haven't. So for being able to pull out that QR code, we'll have to take a look at how that's set up in the background. Everything has its own point and it's kind of self-encapsulated. So yes, it should be able to do that. I think part of this, we may end up kind of knowing these questions. We may flip it over to live or see if we can run sort of a draft trial version, and I'll take it out and just kind of see how it works outside with my phone, and then also John probably let you know once I've tested that one time, and then you could try it in College Place and see how that works. So we can have we can know what the limitations and capacity is and see if there's anything we need to figure out.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think of making sure that each of the individual properties has its own unique QR code, so that when you're in front of the Gugamelli house, that code pulls up the Gugamelli page, information on that. Yeah.
We'll figure that out.
Any other questions for our consultant, Spencer? Any feedback? Any excitement? Or
John, this is Mike. Sorry I was late. I had nothing but computer trouble getting in. Not your fault. It's this computer. I'm just curious what the issue is and what
the issue is?
well, not the issue, but I understand you're trying to get QR codes for each of the historic houses. Is that it?
Well, Spencer was just providing us with a background on where he's at so far with
Oh.
the has history tour, the grant that we got.
Okay.
Thanks for. Okay. Any other feedback or questions? Well,
And no question, Mike, were you able to see the presentation, or because of the computer issues, your login happened after I stopped sharing my screen?
I did not see it. My stinking computer was giving me fits.
John and the rest of the commission, I can share my screen and just flip through those pages real quick if you want, or if you have other business.
That's fine.
Okay.
We don't have any other business today, so.
Great. Back agenda. So, see, Mike, real quick, this was just a landing page coming to the site. This was kind of an overview of the tour, a desktop view and a mobile view. The question that we'd all kind of been talking about afterwards is, when you're using a mobile view, is your blue dot of where you are relative to those points going to show up on this map? And then the other question is, for each of these points, how to generate a QR code so that if you are out in the field and you see that sign, you could click or go to bring your camera up for the QR code reader and have it open to an individual tour point that corresponds with that QR code. So now shown on the screen is an individual tour point for one of the houses. And so we'll work on figuring that out. And then just a quick on the purpose, tying it into the National Park Service goals, and then kind of a real rough draft of where we are in the Word file in terms of working through developing content for each of the properties.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Spencer, how many tour points do we have?
Oh,
Is there around 20?
I think it's 24.
Good.
Thank you for doing that.
Oh, no problem.
Well, if there are no other questions or feedback, then I think thank you, Spencer, for the work so far, and we'll be in touch, and we'll see you next month.
That sounds great. Thanks everyone for your time. And and we'll, John, I've got those questions noted, so we'll work on getting those figured out, and I'll follow up with you by email on those. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm trying to. We do not have any additional reports or other action items today. So unless there's any comments from the commission, I think, Gary, you could ask to conclude the meeting if you would like. The next meeting is in August on the 18th, and we'll have Spencer back to provide us with the final, show us the final product.
All righty.
I just had a quick question. So I guess that the book on College Place history has been published. Where does one go to buy one of those?
No, it has not been published.
I was going to say, I was unaware of that.
Yeah.
I misunderstood.
The mayor has asked that some additional research be done, and so we're working with Keoki right now to try to find another author, basically, to help provide some more information.
To fill in some of the spots.
Yes.
Okay.
We've done a bunch of work on identifying and acquiring some additional photos. We have, I can't remember how many photos we're getting, on lines of 50 or so photos and that we're purchasing. And they have been very gracious in some photos at a reduced rate. And then we're still in the process of getting photos from the other resources, Whitman, and I think I guess there's one other project that I haven't really done anything with, and that is the monument sign for the cemetery. That grant has been accepted, so we can go ahead and make the purchase for the monument, but I haven't had a chance to get revised quotes, and then work with the monument company on the design and stuff. So, but we have 2 years to complete that project. That's all I have on updates. Any additional questions or comments? We're still down a member, so if anybody knows of anyone.
Terry Amont is now retired. If you're looking for another old, worn-out historian, I'm sorry, I shouldn't say that about her. Pleasantly tired, but now retired historian.
Would one of you feel comfortable reaching out to her?
I'll contact her, sure.
That would be fantastic. Where does she reside, in the city or in Walla Walla?
They're out in the county off of Bustle Road. So probably not. I'm pretty sure they're in the county.
I think that is correct. I believe they're on Snyder Drive, which would be in the county. But I'm in Walla Walla, so.
As am I.
Lisa, do you remember if there's a issue with, I mean, how many we can have that are out of?
I think code does specify how many can be outside of the city, but it might be how many can be outside of the school district. And I believe Snyder Drive would still be in our school district, but I'll have to look it up to know for sure.
I think she would be a good addition if she'd be willing.
Particularly as an American historian, where I'm short.
Oh, Gary, what do you want to do?
Well, I guess if we've exhausted our agenda, let's go ahead and move to adjourn, and then see if we
We're
can
good.
come up with some names for other members at our next meeting.
We're going to move to conclude instead of move to adjourn, please.
Could you repeat that? I'm sorry, Lisa, what was that?
Instead of using the terminology adjourn, we now use the terminology conclude.
Conclude, okay. Do I hear a motion that we should conclude our meeting for today?
So moved.
I have a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Sounds unanimous. I guess we'll see you all next month.
Very good.
Thank you all.
Thank you.